Things look pretty crazy on this planet right now, don't they? However, there is a very strange method to their madness. Therefore, we need to know what we should be doing in 2024. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. So things look pretty insane here on planet Earth right now, don't they? However, when you understand the full picture, strangely enough, every single part of what is happening on this planet starts to make sense. The most important thing for all of us is that we become very empowered, very grounded, and extremely clear in this situation. And in order to do that, there are two main things that we need to be acutely aware of. Now, the first thing we need to know is that we need to have a comprehensive view of the full planetary picture so that we know how every single piece of this scenario actually fits together. In fact, let me give you an analogy that could make this quite interesting. Have you guys ever put together a jigsaw puzzle? I want to use that analogy for the process of us becoming very clear and very certain about what is happening here on Earth. Now, you know how it is when you start a jigsaw puzzle, you get some of the pieces and you're like, yeah, I have little parts of the puzzle that seem to match, and then there are all these other pieces that don't match. And also, imagine doing that without seeing the full picture on the cover. Let's just pretend that we don't even have that yet. We just need to put these pieces together randomly. But there's something that happens when you get closer to the end. Have you ever noticed how much better you feel? You almost feel this, I know this sounds crazy, but you almost feel like this sense of elation, like, oh my goodness, suddenly all the pieces are coming together faster and faster, and you know you are right on the verge of seeing the whole thing fully intact. So let's look at our situation on planet Earth in the same way that we would look at a jigsaw puzzle, because ironically, it's actually very, very much the same situation. So let's start putting that puzzle together right now. Now, before we get into the jigsaw puzzle part of this, I also want to mention the second thing we need to know. This is vitally important. We need to spend every single day becoming more and more clear of who we actually are at the highest possible level. We need to have unwavering focus in moving towards that manifestation so that we can move through this chaos and be undeterred in what our ultimate cosmic goal is in this universe. So that would be the second thing that we need to know. Now, before we get into both of these main topics, I want to mention a couple of other things. The first is that in 1 week, on March 19th, I will be opening up my Cosmic Journey membership to new members for 3 days only. And I'm doing this at the March equinox because I feel like the equinox is such a wonderful time for new beginnings. And the core purpose of the membership is to support you in focusing and staying on an ascension path with absolute clear guidance that is customized to you and your life about exactly what you need to stay on that path. Plus, I share a lot of information that I do not share anywhere else. So overall, the Cosmic Journey is to give you continuous, ongoing support on your ascension path, which I think is pretty valuable right now with all of the insanity going on this planet. So if you want to join us, we have a beautiful community where everyone is going through this process together. If you want to join us, then I suggest you get on my wait list. I will put a link below, because over the course of the next week, I'm going to start sending out information about the membership. And plus, if you're on the wait list, you will be first to get in, probably a little bit early if that's what you'd like to do. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the HEALY quantum frequency device, which I'm currently wearing. I've actually had people request that I talk about this at the beginning of my videos, so I'm going to do that today. So the HEALY is a highly advanced, patented quantum technology that, in my opinion, solves a fundamental problem that we have as evolving human beings on this planet. And here's that fundamental problem. Basically, our goal is to get back into a manifestation of who we really are at the highest possible level. The problem is, you guys, we have so much junk that we accumulate over our lifetimes. We have traumas, we have beliefs, we have brainwashing, we have programming, we have stuff. And all that stuff ends up, in a way, kind of impacted in our energy field. And worse yet, we tend to identify with it, right? We tend to identify it as who we are. We call it me. We think every experience we've ever had, all that energy that we accumulate, we start to identify as being me, who I am, who we are, right? And then all that junk, if we are holding on to that and we just think it's us, we can have a very difficult time evolving at the rate of speed that we need to evolve in the current situation. So what HEALY does is HEALY deals with everything at the level of frequency. We tend to see on a conscious level everything at the level of, well, let's just call it conceptual. We tend to look at our lives, ourselves, our situation, and we view it all on a conscious level conceptually. We try to conceptualize and frame what we think is going on, what we think is in our way, only to discover maybe what we thought wasn't enough, wasn't something, right? So the struggle can continue. And right now we're being bombarded with so much stuff, right? In the form of energy, propaganda, fear, social media, everything, right? But HEALY deals with everything as frequency, not conceptually. Therefore, it scans, because it's a quantum technology, it scans our ideal blueprint in the quantum field, who we really are without all that junk. Then it scans where we are and how we are here on planet Earth at the level of frequency. And it works with our frequencies to bring us into greater coherence and alignment with the highest blueprint of our most ideal self. So it does a lot of that clearing in areas that we may not be able to consciously address because we don't know what's going on subconsciously. We only know what we can see and what we can somehow interpret, but it's a slow process, right? I mean, it's slow to figure out everything that's going on in your energy field, everything that's going on in your subconscious, everything that's driving your behavior, driving your perception, driving your understanding of your own reality. That's really hard to do with the conscious mind conceptually. So when you have this ally, which is this quantum technology, this is not in the category of other frequency devices. It's a totally different category because of the quantum technology. So when you have this that specifically addresses everything at the level of frequency, it's accurate, because frequency is the most accurate, the most pure, the ultimate language in the entire universe. So it's really an ally. It helps you pave the way in your own evolutionary process, so you're not having to deal with all that junk, all that stuff all by yourself. So this has been my experience of it. And I find that the HEALY is brilliant at untangling the mass of unaligned frequencies that sit in our energy fields that we can't even see. It's brilliant at untangling that so that we can begin to manifest more and more of who we really are and focus on what we actually need to be focused on, which is becoming more and more of who we really are. And the final thing I'll say is that it does all of this in beautiful alignment with nature. So I have a page with more information about this, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to go check it out. And let me know, of course, if you have any questions about the HEALY. There's a way to contact me there. And yeah, check it out. It is beyond worth it, you guys. Totally beyond worth it. Okay, so let us get into the topic of today's video. Let's start by imagining that what we're dealing with here on planet Earth is like a ginormous jigsaw puzzle. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to take some of those big pieces of that puzzle and start to put it together so that we have a comprehensive view of exactly what is going on at a planetary scale. Now, at first, it looks like none of these pieces go together. It looks like the pieces are just scattered all over the place, right? I mean, we have wars, we have violence, we have political disasters all over the place. We have some of the most bizarre propaganda that this world has ever seen. For example, we have what I call the mythical land of many colors, many numbers, and many letters. Sounds like a weird fairy tale, doesn't it? So it sounds like well, never mind. You guys, do you know what I'm referring to? I hope you do, because I really can't speak of this mythical place here on this platform. But I like to keep it short. Let's just call it the land of many colors. And it has lots of numbers and letters attached as well. This is the land where people have no idea what a human is. You know, woman? What's that? What is a woman? And man? What's a man? Is a man? Oh, is a man actually a woman? Or can a person be a dog? A cat? Maybe a person can even be a chair. I mean, who knows in the mythical land of many colors and numbers and letters. It's also the land where they like to chop off body parts so they can feel more secure. Maybe we should just call it the land of colorful numbers. Yeah, I think that's a good name, the land of colorful numbers. So those are like puzzle pieces. You know how you sometimes you get a group of puzzle pieces and you say, well, these look like they go together. I'll put these over here. So we can do that with the land of colorful numbers. We can put those pieces in one place. And then we could put wars and violence over here. We can put the political disasters over here. So now it's starting to take a little bit of shape. Oh, and there's another puzzle piece. Oh, look over here. There's like pictures of swarms of people that are just moving to live somewhere else. There's a number of puzzle pieces that look like that. Like all of a sudden, all these people just decided to get up and move somewhere else on the planet. A whole bunch of people just moving somewhere else. That's interesting. So let's make that another puzzle piece. And before I continue, let me address the person who every now and then comes up and says, Saratoga, you sound like you're talking to children. Guys, it's called code, okay? I'm sure most of you guys know that, but I do have to remind a handful of people sometimes that that's what's going on here. And then, of course, we cannot leave out the good old weffers, these guys who I call the weffers. You know, they have decided that it is definitely time for us to all eat the bugs. Now, I truly thought this had to be fiction. Like, no, this can't be real, right? Eating bugs. No, that's gotta be fake. until I saw this. This is a picture of a facility to be built in the US by a company called Protix. Let me read to you a quick description of what this facility is for. This is designed to support all aspects of insect protein production, including the breeding, incubating, and hatching of insect larvae. This is for food production, you guys. Tyson Foods has an arrangement with this company now because I guess they're planning to put some bugs in their actual food. And then they follow this up with, the earth is smiling. Yes, the earth is smiling to know that humans will eat the bugs. I mean, this is crazy. Now, I think we have to put the little bug puzzle piece in a box by itself because I truly have not yet figured out how this fits in with the bigger plan because it really is that insane. But maybe by the time we're done here, I'll come up with an idea. We'll see. Now let's go over to that pile with the crazy politicians and politics, right? We have some pretty insane politicians right now. And you know what they remind me of? They remind me of ringmasters in a crazy 3-ring circus or some kind of weird clown show. The politicians are sort of like the ringmasters. They're not really the show, but they're kind of directing the show. So I think their job is to like stir up countries that were once coherent, make them incoherent, make them crazy, make them sort of like a clown show. And that's their job. I know it gets a little hard to believe that there's a method to all of this madness, right? But there actually is. And then we have this other little pile of puzzle pieces that are all about the people who hate the weather. They think if weather happens, we're all going to die. It's going to be a terrible disaster, right? Like hot summer days, blizzards in the winter, tornadoes, hurricanes, stuff like that. They hate that stuff. They want it all gone. They tell us that the oceans are boiling water and the sun is really bad. And then they invent these weird weather maps where they paint the ocean orange and red, so we'll believe them when they tell us that the oceans are boiling. Okay, so now we're looking at our big table of puzzle pieces and we're saying, this is a mess. This is just a big fat mess. These are all of the different little groups of puzzle pieces that you put to the side as you wait for the real bigger picture to emerge, and then you'll be able to figure out where those puzzle pieces go. And a lot of times we get very, very distracted by all the puzzle pieces that I just mentioned, probably because they're so freaking bizarre. But wait, there is a picture that's starting to emerge. A bunch of other pieces are actually starting to fit together. So look, we have the internet piece here. We have cell phones. We have texting. And then we have smartphones. Oh yeah, look. And then we have social media. And it's amazing how all those pieces fit together. And now we're seeing a pattern begin to emerge. Think of it. The World Wide Web. The internet. I mean, these are words you use when you want to capture something, right? Net and web. And what's so weird, going back to the insect problem, these are terms that are usually applied to things relating to insects. That's weird. So a web and a net are created in order to capture us. Then cell phones are created, and we're told, this is how you talk to each other now. You text each other. And then cell phones morph into smartphones. So now your smartphone connects to the internet web, and next social media is installed to get swarms of people to connect in groups. Swarms, that's another insect term. Weird. And next, more and more screens attempt to mimic physical reality using audio and video. And then we have live streaming, then we have Zoom. All of these pieces fit together really, really nicely and in a specific order and pattern. But they're all designed to drive us deeper and deeper and deeper into the web. And how convenient that all of those pieces were well in place. Everyone was completely engaged right before we had that strange health issue in 2020, which clearly was designed to drive us more deeply into this web. I mean, think of the symbolism of how we had to cover our faces to kind of symbolize the fact that we no longer were going to have a person-to-person connection through voice in the physical world. And then there was the idea of 6-foot distancing, because that just so happens to correspond, maybe, just maybe, to the energetic field that the heart produces, so that no two people would have that energy field of each other's hearts ever connect or touch. That's kind of weird too, isn't it? We had plastic sheeting everywhere to emphasize the physical division. So all of this was really a form of psychological warfare and conditioning for what was coming next. And now we have Apple and Meta, who are both competing with their fancy headsets to give people an experience of mixed reality, because that's going even deeper. That's where you can have an AI reality intermixed with your physical reality in such a way that they just seem to blend seamlessly, and it all supposedly makes a lot of sense to your brain. You see how fast these pieces of the puzzle are coming together? This is like when you get to that center place where you're really starting to understand something. We also got ChatGPT to be our thinking partner, our AI thinking partner. In fact, why not let the AI think for us? Why do we need to think if the AI can think for us? And then we have generative AI in more and more advanced forms, just to prove to us that AI can generate realities for us all by itself. And do you guys remember in my last video when I was pointing out and showing you that Mr. KS here, I call him Mr. KS, or just KS for short, was already turning his thinking over to what he calls his personal bot, ChatGPT, who it looks like he's now making the bot his authority about everything. So it seems that more and more these controllers are demonstrating that they are the first in line to hand their minds over to AI. Not really surprising, but I think that's what's going on. And now the controllers are basically openly saying that AI is going to control everything. Won't that be great? I mean, they just think that is the best thing ever. So all of this central part of the puzzle that I just described to you, all of this AI stuff, this is the part of the puzzle that is coherent, where all the pieces fit together really, really nicely. But here's what's going on. All those little other piles of puzzle pieces that seem so bizarre and so crazy, those are the ones that people are very distracted with. They're very distracted by those strange puzzle pieces that we talked about already. And they're just like, some people are obsessed with them. And the reason is because they don't understand how it all fits together. I just love this jigsaw puzzle analogy, because it is kind of like that. When you have these frustrating pieces, you don't know how they fit, and you can really get into it and be, where does this fit? Where does this fit? Why is this piece here? Why did they put this here? Is this a mistake? You know, it kind of gets like that, sort of like that on planet Earth right now. So now that we understand the main part of this jigsaw puzzle, We can also understand that all of those wayward pieces that are in these weird little piles are actually intended to completely dismantle our sense of reality and dismantle our sense of ourselves. Not even dismantle our sense of reality, but to literally dismantle our physical reality as we have always known it. That is the purpose of all these other pieces, so that everything can merge together in the central part of the puzzle, which is all about merging us with AI. Okay, now this is where things can get a little bit, not so much complicated, but in order to understand where I want to go with this, you have to allow your consciousness to expand. Because where we are right now is exactly a match to the jigsaw puzzle analogy I gave you, where we can see the AI part of it, all those pieces fit together in a coherent picture, and we have the wayward pieces that don't really fit anywhere as yet. But here's what's going to happen, and this is where we need to evolve in advance of this happening. What's going to happen is each one of these strange little pieces on the side that make no sense right now, as they get closer and closer to this final attempt to merge human beings and maybe even all biological life on Earth with AI, as it gets closer, we're going to start going, oh, I get it now. Now I understand where that piece was meant to go, right? The thing is, we don't want to wait for that to happen. So what I want to suggest to you guys to try is to start looking at trajectories. I'm not a believer in predictions because predictions are projections out of one's own experience. I prefer instead to look at trajectories, which is, okay, this situation seems to be moving in a certain direction. And just like when you throw a ball, you can watch the trajectory of the ball and you can pretty much anticipate where that ball is going to land, assuming that nothing interferes with its path. So what's going to happen with each one of these pieces is that if they continue unimpeded, they're going to gather greater and greater momentum. And as they gather greater momentum, we're going to start to see the trajectories all moving in a synchronized direction. And we're going to start to see, oh, it's all coming together. So if you watch for the trajectories of these various different puzzle pieces, you'll start to see the bigger picture emerge. Just like the jigsaw puzzle is exactly the perfect analogy, because that's what happens. You know, when you get to the end of that puzzle and you have all these complicated pieces, you know how it moves faster and faster and faster before it all comes together? It's going to be like that, you guys. Now I want to start getting into the second part of this, which is all about us knowing who we are, empowering ourselves and all of that. And I may not get to, there's a lot that can be said about this, so I may have to put it in another video if I don't finish in this one, so it doesn't end up being way too long. But here's a mistake that we could make. If we think that our only option with these wayward puzzle pieces and what they represent is to fight against this, we need to fight this web, we need to fight this net, we need to fight this whole thing. We want to be really careful, because have you ever seen what happens when an insect gets caught in a web and it fights to get out? What happens is the web sticks to it. The more it fights, the more the fibers of the web stick to it, and the more trapped it becomes. So we want to be very, very careful how we approach our cosmic situation here, so that we don't end up in a situation like that. Because in the case of the insect, the more it fights, the worse its situation gets. So what we want to do instead is we want to approach this at the level of energy. Now, let me just say a little bit about the condition of planet Earth from an evolutionary basis. We as individual people do not have control over what happens in the big picture of planet Earth. That is a very complex situation that currently is the product of millennia of past history, interdimensional stuff. I mean, it is a big, complicated deal. It's not our place as individuals to think that we're in control of the entire planet and we're going to correct this. The best thing to do in this situation, hopefully it will be corrected. Hopefully some miracle will happen and all of this mess will come apart and something beautiful will emerge. I mean, we never want to rule that out, right? But we also want to remember our individual purpose here, which is to evolve as the individual, unique human beings that we are. So we find ourselves here on Earth in this crazy situation. What's the most practical, intelligent thing for us to do? The most intelligent thing for us is to be sure that we do not lose our way, that we stay on that cosmic path of evolution, that we are so focused, we are so clear. This is what I was saying in the beginning, that nothing can deter us from our path, and that we continue to evolve at the fastest rate we're capable of, each one of us as individuals, so that this, in terms of our unique personal journey in the universe, we're not affected by this in our own bigger picture, our own bigger journey, because we do have a much bigger journey than merely what's going on here on Earth right now. We have a much more profound journey than that. And we don't want to let the circumstances on this small little planet stand in the way of the journey we're really meant to be on. So I recommend that perhaps we should not get so obsessed and frightened and anxious and angry and all of those kinds of negative emotions about all this junk going on, because that's a lot of energy to expend, you guys. That's a lot of energy that we're going to lose from the path we actually need to be on. We want to consolidate our energy, consolidate our power, and raise our consciousness to a higher level of experience and perception. The best way to look at our situation is at the level of energy. Now, I want to talk to you about leverage, because if we don't think of this as energy, we don't have leverage. When you're terrified, freaked out, worried about everything going on the planet, you don't have any leverage, do you? You're just like survival. You're in like total survival mode. What has been happening at the level of energy and leverage is this. These controllers have been working on this project backed by other dimensional forces, all this stuff, for a very long time. In other words, they have been moving energy in this direction for a very, very long time. And now, because they've managed to set up the infrastructure that gives them total control over the planet in certain ways, in terms of, well, let's put it this way, total control over the systems that support human life on this planet. They've been building that for a long time. So they have control over us and what allows us to even exist here at all. So they have a lot of leverage. They actually right now have most of the leverage. Here's the problem. As a humanity, we have been very effectively brainwashed on a spiritual level via religions, via churches, via New Age, everything, to believe that the way this problem gets solved is that we're supposed to be saved by some other force, some other energy, some other person, some other something, right? You know what that does? That belief system eliminates most or all of our leverage because it makes us passive, because we tell ourselves that our role is to wait to be saved. I mean, there are people out there quoting the Bible right and left. You know, the Bible says that we're all going to be saved if we are good people, if we do the right thing. And I probably don't need to mention the current religious war going on in a certain part of the world, which I won't even get into because for obvious reasons. But nonetheless, there are people quoting their books, their spiritual texts all over the place as the justification and the explanation for everything going on. Because that's kind of all people think they have left. And that's just going to make things crazier and crazier and crazier. And let us not forget that religions are notorious for mass slaughter excused by their God, right? They're notorious for that. They've been doing that ever since religions were invented. So if that's the place that you want to stand on, maybe you ought to look at the whole picture and not just a tiny little piece of propaganda that makes you feel very right about your position. And I'll just leave it at that. So back to what I was saying a moment ago about this idea that we're just waiting to be saved, and we figure, just kind of lay low, be a good person, do what the book tells us to do, whatever your spiritual book is, we'll be saved. Somehow, who knows, we'll just get saved. That is a position of very little, if any, leverage at all. Because you're assuming that there's an unseen force, an unseen entity, someone else, some all-powerful such and such that has a bunch of leverage out in the universe and is just waiting to swoop in and end this whole thing once and for all. If that was going to happen, you guys, I think that was going to happen a long time ago. I mean, why wait, right? If there's something in the universe that has that kind of power, why would it wait and put people through this kind of hell? Well, it just stands there waiting until the right moment. See, this doesn't make sense to me at all. But if you believe that, then you're contributing to a lack of energy on this planet that is, in a way, counter to the energy of these controllers. So the controllers have trained humanity very, very, very well in so many ways to be passive, to be repressed, to feel guilty about who we are and what we're capable of. They've repressed us spiritually. They've repressed us financially. I mean, who has all the money, right? The controllers. They have control of something like 80% of the wealth in the world. And what about the other 7 or 8 billion people? They get like 20% to fight over for survival. But see, the religions, once again, and when it comes to wealth and money, they've taught everyone well there too. You shouldn't have any. You should never have money. Money is bad. You're a bad person. You're evil. Money is the root of all evil, right? So I'm going to have to do a whole video on this money issue, I think, because I don't want this one to be too long. So I will do one coming up at some point on that subject, but I want to bring it up now because I want you to see the same principles at work here. The humans waiting to be saved are not really putting out a whole lot of energy. They're more on a behavioral level, like, oh, well, we'll just behave the right way. We'll go to church, we'll pray, we'll do this, that, the other thing. But ultimately, there's a belief that something else is going to fix this. The controllers, on the other hand, are 100% responsible for what they are trying to create. Now think about that for a moment. Think about the fact that these controllers have taken 100% responsibility for what it is they're trying to create here. All their methods are horrible. All of their methods are illegitimate. Yes, they are, but they are taking 100% responsibility. The guilty humans, on the other hand, the passive humans, are not taking responsibility for what they want to create because they figure someone else is going to do it for them. The controllers have amassed all of the wealth because they know that money is a symbol for creative energy. They want to have all of it so that they can use it, which they do, to create the world they want to create. And the rest of humanity is like, oh, money's so bad. We should never have any money. It makes us guilty and selfish and greedy and all these negative adjectives, right? So we don't want to have money because in the physical world, money is what you use, is the energy used to create with. So that's another place where the controllers have all the leverage. Humanity has little or none because there's only enough money to basically survive on. So if you look at this diagram, I'm going to show you a diagram. You can see in each of these cases where as a humanity, we do not have the leverage and the controllers have all the leverage on an energetic level. So here's what I recommend that we all do, looking at this as energy and leverage. Number one, first and foremost, reclaim yourself as a creator. Do this by learning how to create your life, how to create your circumstances, how to create yourself. Make that your mission. Because it's as a creator that you consolidate your energy, that you become empowered, and that you actually have impact in this world, as opposed to no impact because you're waiting to be saved. That's the first thing. The second thing is stop telling yourself a bunch of negative stories about money. Money has no power to make a person good, and it has no power to make a person evil. It has no power of its own, actually. It's just a symbol for energy that one can use to create with. So clear yourself of all that propaganda and brainwashing that is millenniums old around money. Just relax around money and say, well, who said money is evil and bad and terrible? Who said that? Maybe some religious text said it. Will you try to recall the fact that certainly we can say for the Bible has been translated and rewritten over and over and over again. It has been put together in concert with earlier, more ancient governments. It's not the pure word that people think it is. Look it up. Look up the history. It's a book, you guys. It's just a book. That's all it is. It might be a really good book. It might have some great things in it. It might have some wonderful insights here and there, but so do a lot of other books. So do books that are written in modern times. Books are just books. Books are not God. I really do not understand the primitive position of believing that a book is going to save people. That is incredibly primitive. That is incredibly unevolved. A book is an object. It can't save anyone. What's written in it can't save anyone. I know this is blasphemy. I'm a bad person. Oh my goodness. But this is common sense, you guys. That's what this is. So let's just talk for a moment about how you can really get focused and really stay on your cosmic path of ascension. Start by reclaiming the fact that you're a creator. And don't just tell yourself you're a creator. Actually learn to be a creator. Learn that how you think, what you believe, the thoughts in your head are having quite an impact on what you believe is possible and not possible for you as an individual. You have the power to shift to a deeper level of consciousness and recognize that those are just thoughts. They're just thoughts in your head. And you can go to a deeper level, a heart-centered level, and understand that your heart is connected to your highest, most perfect, most beautiful self. Your heart is meant to inform your mind. And when the more the heart informs the mind from a much deeper place of your infinite being, the more your thoughts are going to start to come into alignment with that reality, with that truth. The more calm you start to feel, the more relaxed, the more your whole body starts to come into alignment. You start to think differently. You start to open up more. Because what you're opening up to is your own power, is your own connection to the infinite universe, to the infinite source of all that is, to the infinite love that is behind those beautiful original blueprints of the entire universe. That's what you're connecting to. That's your guiding light. Doesn't it make sense that we would each have equal potential for that full connection? Doesn't that make sense? To me, that makes so much more sense than some judgmental God out there who's judging everybody according to their religion. Doesn't it seem so much more real that every person has the same exact access to that which creates all that is? And it's really a matter of their own choice, whether or not they want to align their consciousness with that place, with that origin of self. I mean, that would be fair, right? I mean, that would be the only thing that could be fair. And I think that is actually the truth. So there's that. And then on a physical level, try to come more and more into your natural state of being. Because the more you're in alignment with your natural state of being, the more you will find yourself energetically in coherence with the evolving natural universe. And there's a lot of power there. So just to complete this, we'll continue to work on this jigsaw puzzle because I think it's a really great way to look at things without getting completely freaked out and confused. It actually, to me, feels kind of sane in a way. So ultimately, instead of letting the controllers be the only ones on planet Earth who are taking 100% responsibility for what it is they want to create, which is garbage, right? Why don't we start taking responsibility for what we want to create in our own lives? Because if you can't do it in your own life, you can't really do it in a bigger way. So why don't we start there? Let's start with our own individual lives and take responsibility for what we want to create. Take action on what we want to create. Because when you're coming from the heart, you're only going to create something beautiful. You're not going to create anything bad or evil or ugly. It's only going to be wonderful. So come into your center. Always remember that you're on a cosmic path. It's your choice to be on a cosmic path. You don't have to be only on this earth-based path of insanity with everything going on. You can be on a cosmic path throughout all of this. And I'll give you one simple tip as to how you can start. Every morning when you get up, remind yourself that you are a creator. And ask yourself, what do I want to create in my life today? Just that simple question will position you as the creator of your day. That is an awesome place to start. It's simple, it's easy to remember. So try that out if you feel so inclined and if you feel inspired. I mean, hey, if the controllers can create garbage, certainly we as individuals can create beauty, right? So let's start there. Let's start by creating beauty and high vibrational energy in our own individual lives. Let's start there, because at least that way we are going forward in a positive direction. Now, before I go, one quick reminder about my Cosmic Journey membership opening on March 19th next week. Be sure to get on the wait list. I'll put the link below. You can find out everything about what that's all about. And if this is for you, I would love to see you in our wonderful community. And remember to check out the HEALY if you want beautiful quantum assistance with your journey. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think would actually enjoy my jigsaw puzzle analogy. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell, because I am here on Tuesdays with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.